Hi, welcome to zebracode.io. This is a free coding curriculum for high school students, and we are in lesson 10 learning about string functions. So I'm going to create a new file called demo.py, saving this within my homework folder and also lessons 10. And let's go ahead and create a variable called s. S is assigned the value, and I'm going to enter a string here, and it's going to represent a sentence or some words here. And then we can apply some string functions to this sentence. So we're going to take this variable s, and let's do two things. For some of the basic functions we learned about were length, then there was upper and lower, and then there was the splice and the split. So let's do length first. This is going to print length s, and it's going to get the number of characters within the variable, the string s. And then we do s.upper. That's going to convert everything to upper. So let's exit this code by opening a command prompt, and we're going to change directories into our documents folder, and then we have a homework folder, HW, and then let's go to lesson 10. We can navigate to wherever we've typed the code, and I'm going to do python demo.py, which is the name of our file. And let's execute this. We get the length. Here we can see the length, the number of characters, and then we converted everything to upper. The cow jumped over the moon. And so that's a representation of two methods or functions for length and method for upper that we've used. And I'll use those interchangeably, but that's just a fine definition there. Let's also do splice. And splice is all you got to do is the square brackets, and then you can put in the characters. In this case, it's going to go from the 5th position to the 10th position. And let's clear the screen out, and let's execute this code again. And let's do python demo.py. And here again, we get the length, and then we get everything to upper, and then we get the 5 characters between the 5th position and the 10th position. And you can always check for boundary points, but the splice always starts from the 0 position. Let's increase this to a little bit more. We can put 25, and we'll go from the 5th to the 25th position. Notice if I left 25 blank, it would go all the way to the end. So there's different ways of taking a splice of a string. And essentially the way we think of it is a string is nothing more than a list of characters or an array of characters. And in that respect, we can divide it into individual characters or iterate through a string character by character. Let's look at another example, and here we have a string. My favorite fruits are grapes, apples, oranges, and kiwi, and we want to convert everything to lowercase as well as remove all punctuation. So I'm going to create a list here, and it's going to be all the characters that I want to remove. In this case, I'm going to say remove, that's a variable, is assign the value, and it's going to be a list, and we'll put a comma, period, hyphen. We'll just put different types of punctuation that we want to remove, and then we're going to iterate through this string character by character, and if it is one of these characters, we can remove it, or we won't include it. We'll create a new string. So we iterate through all of the characters in S1 in our string called S1, and then we're also going to create a new string. I'm just going to call it SNew, and I'm going to initialize it to the empty string. So basically, as we iterate through and look at each character, if it's something we're going to remove, then we will not append it to this new variable we're calling SNew. So that's why I use the word not here. If X not in remove, if the character for X in S is iterating through every character, or excuse me, for X in S1 is iterating through every character, if X, each letter, so to speak, is not in remove, then it's going to be, we're going to concatenate it to this variable we called SNew. And at the very end, we can print SNew. Let's go ahead and run this code, and we should get the entire string, but all of the punctuation is removed. So now we don't have any more commas, we don't have any period, etc. Let's do one last thing. Let's change everything to lower, so we can just do print SNew.lower parentheses, and when we run this, now we get all of the characters are lowercase. Let's look at one additional example in this demo, and let's create a new variable called capital L, and it's going to be assign the value of s.new.lower, so everything will be forced to lowercase, and then we're going to split. So what does split do? It takes this sentence, and everywhere that there's a space, it divides it there, and it creates a list of words. So the output is going to be a list of all of the words that we just lowercase. So here we can see the sentence, and then in this line, we can see that it's actually a list, and a list is a collection of words that made up that sentence. Find and replace are two other methods available in string functions, and they're really simple to use. We have a new sentence. I'm going to call it S is assign the value of we all live in the yellow submarine. And I'm going to do X is assign the value of S.find all. So what this is going to do is going to search the S string for the value all, and it's going to return the position if it's found. And again, the positions always start with 0, and if it's not found, it's going to return -1. So let's go ahead and run this code, and we see we get 3. It's returned in the third position. It's because that's where all is located within the string in the third position. So let's change this also to double L's, and notice there's 2 double L's. It's in the word all and also in the word yellow. And if we do this, the same thing, we're only going to find the first position. So this finds the first position, FYI, and it returns that value. In this case, the first double L is located in the fourth position. Let's do one other thing with the replace. I'm going to create a new variable called S1. It's assigned the value of the string S.replace. So I'm going to look in the variable S, which is a string, and the variable S is defined as we all live in the yellow submarine, and I'm going to replace all the double L's with a double A, and then we can print S1. That's a new return value that comes from replace, and I'm assigning that to our new variable called S1, and when we print S1, we see we get everything replaced accordingly. The 2 L's have been replaced with 2 A's. The final example we're going to look at is we're going to have 2 sentences called S1 and S2, and we're going to try to print all the common words that are in both sentences. So the first thing I'm going to do is split. I'm going to create a new variable called L1. It's assigned the value of S1.split, and similarly, I'm going to create another variable L2. It's assigned the value of S2.split. And so what this does is we're going to have 2 lists, list 1 and list 2, that are going to represent all of the words in each of the sentences, and they're going to be different items. They're going to be a list of words, essentially. So now I can create a common list, and that's going to be initially the empty list. And as I iterate through the first list for X in list 1, if X is also in list 2, essentially, then I'm going to take this common, this new variable I've created, .append, and I'm going to append that value. And at the very end, I can print common, and that should be a new list of all the words that are common to both. So let's go ahead and run this code. This is very common to look for unions or intersections within different sets. In this case, we're doing some analysis with text, and we get all the common words. Capital the with the capital T, and then we have jumped over and the small or the starting without the capitalized T. To get more practice with string functions, I encourage you to look at the homework problems. Thank you. This is zebracode.io, Lesson 10.